All right, here for the daily with Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, surviving, doing all right. Yeah. Fortunately, not playing any internationals this week, so I've got a nice rest.
That's good. Yeah.
Like half the Manchester United squad, it seems. So a whole bunch of them withdrew for various different reasons.
When you've done so.
I guess the most worrying is Noussair Mazraoi, who had some kind of heart palpitations at halftime against Aston Villa and was taken off.
Not the only one.
Yeah, I know. Every bloody United game.
I don't know. Is it too soon to make some weak heart gag about how suitable he is for playing for this team? I don't know.
Theory me. Well, they haven't gone into a lot of details, but they said he had a minor operation. I know you can have a kind of ablation, can't you, where they stick a little catheter into the into one of the blood vessels in the heart in order to fix. A friend of mine had it fix arrhythmia. So I wonder whether it's that. Usually it's pretty minor surgery.
Yeah, it seems like it's fine, but at the same time, it is obviously typical that he discovers this when he leaves Bayern for us.
Well, one person on Twitter, and I don't know how reliable they were, and I forget their handle, so this is really great information. Ed said that United knew about this already, and they're expecting to have to solve this problem at some point. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, if it is a rhythmic heart, they'd have picked it up in the medical, sure. So anyway, kind of worrying since we've already got one guy in the team who's almost dropped dead of a heart condition. Be unfortunate to have two. Three would be really worrying.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad that he's okay.
Yeah.
So he's having a few weeks off.
A few weeks off to recover, they said. Unspecified time, I think. Then the other big one is Harry Maguire, of course, who had that problem at the end of the Villa game, and it looks like he has a calf injury and he'll be out for a couple of months. Joy!
He's getting injured a lot, isn't he, these days?
He really is. Well, he's 31 now, and it seems to be increasing the number of injuries. Yeah. Kind of worrying since the lit has been shitting the bed quite a bit recently. So.
Well, the more I think about this, the more I feel like I can't believe they let him buy into this. I mean, because I think I said this right at the beginning with Ineos, where talking about bargains and stuff. There's no point buying a player for cheap if he's not as good as you need him to be. And I feel that this is one of those, that he may have been underpriced relative to how good he is, but he may be under good relative to how good we need him to be.
Well, I think that's fair analysis, yeah. I mean,
of course, we said it at the time, and we also said that he was totally the wrong partner for Martinez. And we're hoping that he was going to wrap up his faults in leadership and focus.
Yeah, it's definitely not been that so far. The faults were always really obvious with him, of course, and they've kind of been highlighted, I think, by the muddled nature of Ten Hag's tactics. As Danish and I went through on the bonus pods earlier in the week. The other injury, and this one is this is so damning of Ten Hag, I think. Alejandro Garnacho pulled out the Argentina squad with a minor knee injury, but he said on his Instagram that he's had it for the last two games. Without injury crisis and with alternatives in the squad, why in the fuck is he playing with a knee injury? And it's even more damning in that he took Marcus Rashford off at half time against Porto to bring Garnacho on.
I guess
he's had
possible.
A knee injury.
I mean, maybe he didn't tell him.
Yeah.
If you're a footballer, if you're a young player, particularly that you want to get into the team and you're not getting in, are you letting on about a minor knee injury? Possibly not.
Man, I mean, it's so maybe I'm being rash with Ten Hag there. It's just he feels like he's got form for playing players who are injured or just coming back from injury. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a major problem. It's one of those ones it's really hard to tell with United because they're like, player be out for a couple of games and 18 months later they're still injured.
I was talking of which, I saw footage of Tyrell Malastia boot in a punch bag earlier.
Great. Good stuff. Did his leg fall off? Or stay on?
No, I mean, because he was good at kickboxing previously as a kid. No, he looked in phenomenal shape, but looking in phenomenal shape and being ready to play elite level football, very different things.
Well, it'd be nice because we've only got one fullback now in Diallo, and he'll probably.
But he can play both sides.
Yeah, there's still only one of them. He could fuck up on both sides of the pitch. Great.
Yeah, it's like that. What was it? Was it Nigel Pearson? He's saying something like, "We'll play Albrighton in the middle or in midfield, and then we'll play Kante on both sides."
Nice. Yeah. Well, he's one of those few players he could almost do the work of 2 men. But Diallo cannot.
But he could be cracked in 2 positions.
He's most certainly could.
Credit where it's due.
Yeah. I do wonder, I mean, if assuming that Shaw or Noussair aren't back or aren't ready, and since they played 0 football, it seems like it'd be impossible. They play straight after the international break. Like, does Harry Maguire come in? Do they move Martinez to left back? Does Victor Lindelof play at left back? Do they convert Duarte to left back? You know, what are the options here? None of them particularly good, are they? And then the other withdrawal was Amad Diallo, who flew all the way down to the Ivory Coast, only to inform the team that he had a minor muscle problem. I think it wasn't really defined well, and then flew all the way back. So that's a 12-hour flight each way. Awesome. I guess he caught up with the movies or something like that, didn't he?
Avios.
So, yeah.
Better Avios.
Why not? Yep. I once had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of those and chin points and stuff like that, and because I did so much flying and managed to spend them all at some point. So.
Yeah, they're good. They're one of the why would you not have an Avios card to get something back for the money that you're spending anyway?
Sure thing.
Yeah, we went to Ibiza for £1, I think.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, get Avios. Get an Avios card.
Sponsored by,
if you take nothing else from this daily, if you can get yourself an Amex Avios card, because you get to go to places for free and upgrades and hotels and all of that.
We're not even being sponsored, Dan, but if you'd like to sponsor us, get in touch. And then Kobbie Mainoo pulled out the England squad. I think that was unclear what his problem is there. They described it as precautionary on the website or in the FA statement that went out. So, I mean, he could do with the rest, honestly. So, if it's just they're worried about his overload, maybe some tight muscles, or someone's had a word and said, hey,
maybe just like have players near him so he doesn't need to do so much aimless running. That might also assist his workload.
I mean, hey, that's not happened in 3 years with Ten Hag in charge of United. So, seems unlikely to happen now. But yeah, that's 5 important players out there in one way or another. And we're not quite up to 5 plus the 2 in Noussair and Shaw. So we're only the 7 injuries at the moment. I suppose it's not really hitting the height of 12, 13, 14 as we had last season. Does seem a trend.
I mean, but if we go through the injured first, because Maguire's injured all the time. Mazraoi's got a heart condition that seems unlikely was brought on. I mean, maybe the Villa game.
Yeah,
fucking too much. Maybe that's what it was. It's too much for me. Maybe it's too much for him as well. Maguire's getting injured. Noussair's long-term injury. Shaw is nothing to do with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could argue that you could have not let him go and play for England.
Yes, and in fact, as Shaw has admitted, I think maybe he wasn't fully honest with the United medical squad, because he did admit that he played when he wasn't really fit last season.
But you've got to take them the final. England almost won it. I can't look at that and call them a prick. I can't. I can, as a United supporter, and say, well, we've paid your wages for your playing 50% of games and less than 50% of games since you signed for us. But we're not going anywhere. And you had a chance to play in a major final.
I don't blame him. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of United fans angry, obviously, online, but you can find a United fan angry about absolutely anything online. So that's half of the course, isn't it? All right. Well, that's
He
injuries.
must have got good Haribos in Germany, though.
Yeah. I mean, cracking range of Haribos. Yeah.
Apparently, he likes a Haribo. I'm solidly sure. I'm not even making that up.
There's a joke in there somewhere, isn't there? All right. That's the injury stuff. Ten Hag, I mean, it seems like he's staying, right? We haven't had...
He is staying, because if he wasn't, we'd know.
We'd know.
Then they can't make an announcement that he's staying, because then they'll say, we thought about it, discussed it, and decided.
Exactly.
I'm telling you now that there's not a chance everyone on that board thinks he should stay. Not a chance.
No, they didn't in the summer either. They didn't all agree on either him staying or going or the replacements, and that's part of the reason. So this is a fudge. Still, I mean, what does it take to fire him, though? We've got 7 games between... It's October the 10th now. 7 games between now and November the 10th. And we alternate between Premier League, Europa League. There's one Carabao Cup game in there against Leicester. So that's up to the next international break, basically. Like, does he survive those 7? There's some toughies in there. So Brentford at home next one.
I don't even think it matters whether they're tough. He's struggling to win any game of football.
Yeah, true. But what would be acceptable? Like, or what would actually maybe it's what would push them over the edge?
I would look at it's not so much what would be acceptable in terms of results, although that is, of course, that's important. It's what the performance is like. Do we look like a football team playing a workable style that is progressing, where we can see where they are, where they want to get to? Then the results just have to not be dreadful. Mm-hmm. If we're not seeing that, then it almost doesn't matter what the results are, but the results will have to be excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There has to be constant, there has to be progress. And we haven't seen progress this season at all, despite the fact that he's got himself a shit ton of new players.
He has, and it almost actually feels like given the international break, chance to step back, it just feels like continuation of last season, just without the injuries. So, feel well, except we're now getting them. But there have been fewer injuries this season compared to last season, which was a high watermark, of course. And he's had new players, and it's still the same. And it's pretty damning. And they must have talked about this. I mean, so we had Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc, and I assume Barada and Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. I don't think they were photographed, or they went in a different entrance, apparently. So.
When people ask Dan Ashworth what his name is, you think he says, my name's Dan, not Daniel.
I don't know. What do you do? Dan or Daniel?
Does say Daniel?
Yeah.
And then people say, I don't know, you should be all right, Dan. Like, people just do it without even thinking about it.
Danny. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've barely heard from Ashworth, actually. It's kind of interesting. Barada seems to have been more visible. I guess it's just Ashworth's role, isn't it? He's not front of the house. But they were all there, so it must have come up, including Joel Glazer, who flew in. I don't think Avram did he? It was Joel this time on the company jet.
Is it not generally Joel who runs it? Avram is just a board member, but he's involved.
Avram's a board member. This was not a board meeting, so the rest of the board did not turn up. The 6 Glazer siblings and then a few other non-execs. And Sir Jim's 2 people whose names I forget now, his 2 Ineos co-founders are now on the board. So the PLC board. Anyway, they all turn up. They must have talked about it. They must have some kind of benchmark for what is unacceptable. Or they're just making it up as they go along. And that doesn't seem to fit with the kind of strategic ethos that they've been going through.
No. I mean, ultimately, that's the thing, isn't it? That you could have all your structures in place, but you still need people making good decisions.
Yeah, there was. Orny has said Southgate's out the running.
He's ruled himself out today, so he's having a year off.
Right, perfect. Unless we're hobbling through with, I mean, that's even more palpitations. That is hobble through with Ten Hag for an extra year and then get Southgate. No, it seems actually the Ornstein has been regularly saying that it's not going to be Southgate. He's not in the running. So I think we can stop talking about that. It's just the frightening nature of Brexit Jim wanting Southgate as his figurehead. So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Rash of injuries. Let's see how it we work out after like the injury break. It's still like 12 internationals out. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to get fucked on the international duty. Dear me. No Manchester United player in the England squad for like 4 decades. Which is, I don't know whether that's good or bad, but there was not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, we'll leave it there. See you soon, Dan.
Peace.